Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Ochi. Senate has rejected the bill seeking to amend Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. The ongoing amendment bill to the newly signed Electoral Act came from the executive and recommended that National Assembly do expunge Section 84, subsection 12 of the Act. That section states that government appointees must resign before being voted for or to vote at party congresses, a development the president says will mean to disenfranchise serving political appointees. The bill could not go beyond second reading as some of the legislators expressed contrary views to the intention of the amendment bill.
Provision has been interpreted by the executive arm of government as introducing qualification and disqualification criteria that are ultra-violating the Constitution by way of importing blanket restriction and disqualification to serving political office holders.
At the beginning of Section 84, that says that no political party shall seek to disqualify anybody by importing into the process a provision for qualification or disqualification not otherwise provided for in the Constitution. It is there at the beginning. I believe that's Section 84, Section 84(2). You cannot be a referee and a player in the same field. It's either you're a referee or you're a player.
It's a settled matter in law that you cannot be a judge over your own case.
I've listened enough. So I will put the question, and every one of us is at liberty to vote his conscience. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. No, maybe you didn't hear me. No. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. I put the question, there was an aye and there were nays, and I said the nays had it.
Confirmed the nomination of 5 persons for appointment as commissioners in the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC. Meanwhile, the Senate Committee on Road Safety and Intergovernmental Affairs has expressed satisfaction with the schedule of payment and work plans for the actualization of the Presidential Wing Hospital project in the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The committee chairman, Danjo Matla, has stated this during an oversight on the stage of the project. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
Mr. President granted approval to engage Messrs. Julius Bay.
This is one of the submissions made on the construction project. It was at a clearing stage in 2001, which was limited to site appraisal and consent design.
Now, JBN proceeded to undertake necessary and extensive site survey and other ancillary site works, paving the way for the groundbreaking and foundation laying that was performed by the Chief of Staff to the President on 1st November 2021.
The senators were briefed on the provisional estimated cost of the project with the view to sustain the momentum of work for completion within the stipulated period.
I never thought the same was going to be possible. By seeing it, coming to touch it and feel it, it raises my hope and it raises Nigeria's hope as well.
The committee chairman also appreciated the Federal Ministry of Finance and National Planning, which outlined a milestone at which the construction is expected. I am Abdullah Haminu, NTA News.
Determined to improve the fuel supply situation in Nigeria, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited (NNPC) has identified 48 fuel stations where motorists in the Abuja city and its environs could get petrol irrespective of the time. A statement by the Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Garbadin Mohammed, urges Nigerians not to engage in panic buying, as the corporation has made sufficient arrangements for the identified petrol stations to service the public without any interruption.
Among the 48 fuel stations to dispense petroleum products on a 24-hour basis are NNPC Mega Station Zone 1, Abuja, Total Filling Station near Police Headquarters, Corn Oil Petrol Station opposite Abuja Towers, and Oando Petrol Station located in Zone 1, Abuja. Others, according to the Group General Manager, are Adrova Petrol Station at Transcorp, Adrova Petrol Station at Ibrahim Babangida Way, Adrova Petrol Station in Zone 1, Adrova Petrol Station Life Camp, Adrova Petrol Station at Apple, and Adrova Petrol Station at Gogolada. Others are Eternal Oil at Wuse 2, Oando Petrol Station at Zone 4, Nimco Oil at Wuse 2, AYM Shafa at Rita Lorry, and AA Rano at Area 3. Rain Oil Petrol Station at Gwarimpa, Corn Oil at Jabi, Oando at Jabi, Nipco at Jabi, and AA Rano at Jabi. Also listed by the NNPC are Shema at Katampi, AA Rano at Katampi, AYM Shafa at Katampi, and Afdim Oil at Katampi, all in Abuja. Motorists could also get the product at AA Rano Pape, Metama, Katampi, AYM Shafa at Dawaki, Eternal Oil at Dutse Junction, AYM Shafa at Dede Junction, Mainland Oil at Dutse, as well as AYM Shafa at Buari Dutse Road. Shema Oil is also among the list of petrol stations located at CBN Karu, AA Rano located at International Market Nyanya, and the AA Rano Oil located at Nyanya. Other petrol stations are Darmana at Federal Housing Authority Lugbe, AYM Shafa Oil at Lugbe Airport Road, AA Rano at Aviation Village, Afdim Oil at City Gate, AA Rano at City Gate, Shema Oil at Airport Road, AYM Shafa at Wuye, and Darmana at Wuye. The statement assured motorists in Abuja that NNPC Limited is doing all it can to restore normalcy in full supply across the country.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has warned motorists against storing petrol either at home or in cars. Abuja Zonal Operations Controller Roslyn Wilkie handed down the warning to remind the public of the highly inflammable nature of petroleum products. Lydia Sampson reports that this was during inspection of some petrol stations in Abuja.
At most stations visited, the motorists were quick to acknowledge that the fuel queues are already giving way.
I thank God the situation is reducing compared to last week.
Before it was a long queue.
We are much happy to see you people going around to see what is happening.
Today on, I think there's improvement. Not like the other weeks that I spent almost 12 hours in the queue.
Hope if it continues like this.
It is hoped that with more vessels coming in, the massive truck out of petroleum products, as well as some designated petrol stations working 24 hours, the queues will continue to give way and normalcy will be restored.
There have been some improvements. More vessels have come in and more trucks are coming in. And we are working 24/7. We want to tell Nigerians to be patient with us. In a very short while, the queues will disappear.
She again appeals to Nigerians to be patient and avoid panic buying. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
The All Progressives Congress has described the judgment of the Federal High Court purportedly sacking the governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, his deputy, and some lawmakers over their defection as travesty of justice. In a statement, the APC Director of Publicity, Salisu Naina Dambata, cited several judicial authorities which have made the verdict of the Federal High Court Abuja a miscarriage of justice without the trial court citing any constitutional or electoral act breach to warrant the verdict. Citing Section 40 of the Constitution, the APC affirmed that the governor has every right to freedom of association as his fundamental right, which the verdict of the Federal High Court contravened. The APC also cited the well-considered judgment of the same Federal High Court on the Zamfara governor's matter bordering on the same matter of defection, which gave Governor Bello Matawale a clean bill of health over his defection to the APC from the PDP. The APC pointed out that the trial court's founding for the PDP based on the Supreme Court's verdict on Amechi's case without the court citing any constitutional or electoral act breach. Relying on Governor David Umahi's right of appeal, the APC urged the people of Ebonyi State to go about their duties peacefully, as justice will be pursued in the appellate courts vigorously. You're still watching Nationwide. Our first stop is Lagos, and Adiola is standing by. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Lydia. In commemoration of a 2022 International Women's Day celebration, a group of women have converged in Lagos to celebrate the positive achievements and success recorded in their various fields so far. Diana Ajala reports that the event was organized by the Nigerian Labour Congress, Lagos State Council, for women to take stock as well as chart a way forward on issues currently affecting the female gender in the country.
Coming from different walks of life, these women are here on the same mission, celebrating and projecting the leadership strengths of the female gender to the world.
We know your effort, and we also value it. You are very, very essential in the life of women and in society as well.
For them, the celebration can only be meaningful in a world without bias against women.
This would not have been more appropriate at timeline, considering the current ongoing and pains of Nigerian women. This year's theme calls for women around the world to break the bias and imagine a gender-equal world.
What all the women are asking for now is for the government to give us our own quota, because what a man can do, a woman can do better as well.
We want to call on government to strengthen, laws that impede on the rights of women.
Health being one of the issues of concern to women was highlighted with a free blood pressure and sugar level screening for the women in attendance.
Receiving it for free today, I really appreciate the organizer.
If the blood pressure is high or the sugar level is high, we refer to the closest general hospital of their residents.
Chairman, Lagos State Council of Nigeria Labour Congress, Fumi Sesi, appealed to government at all levels to redouble their efforts in ensuring that safety of women and girls is guaranteed across the country.
Enough is enough. We cannot fold our hands and pretend that all is well when we know that all is not well. Why will women be the object of ridicule in the men's circle? We want everybody to be able to go about their normal businesses without fear.
As an annual platform to bond and share experience, the event also offered the women an opportunity to expand their network. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Let's now talk maritime. Nigeria stands the chance of generating more than $12 billion in revenue and creating millions of jobs along the shipping industry value chain if security framework and legal procedures are strengthened to make it difficult for maritime crime offenders to escape litigation. Although the gains are encouraging, key players are exploring ways of building on the momentum of deepening security within the country's maritime ecosystem. Michael Olaleye reports.
In the last 28 years, Nigeria's territorial waters and by extension the Gulf of Guinea has not been so calm. Apart from the deployment of the Deep Blue project, the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019 are the unseen hands changing the tide of the once troubled waters.
We must, as judicial officers, take cognizance of the fact that the desired balance expected in maritime disputes are maintained at all costs in order to boost confidence in the court system as well as maritime operations and management.
In just 2 years of its existence, 10 pirates have been sentenced to 12 years imprisonment each, and Justice Olayinka Faji of the Federal High Court presided over the case involving the hijacking of a Chinese vessel off the Ivorian coast.
Reports reaching the Chief Judge from the divisions in the port states, particularly Lagos State, show a huge reduction and indeed absence of piracy cases in recent times.
This feat has not only assisted the country to exit the International Maritime Bureau IMB's piracy-prone list, but benchmarking of Nigerians' legal instruments for the prosecution of offenders.
The record of convictions of criminals and their sentences between 2021 to date has sent a clear message to all will-be practitioners of piracy and see criminality that Nigerian waters will never again be safe haven for them.
Going forward, the Nigerian Institute for Advanced Legal Studies believes there are more adjustments to be done to make the law formidable.
Jurisdiction on internal waters of any crime that happens on internal waters of Nigeria rests solely with the state government and not federal government.
This colloquium is one of the means of extracting a better understanding of the Suppression of Piracy and Maritime Offences Act to promote synergy among key players in the justice system. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Nationwide will continue in Enugu with Mina Adobe after this break. But quickly, let's tell you that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live, on YouTube at NTA News Online. You can visit our Facebook page at NTA Network News. Our Twitter handle is at NTA News Now, and on Instagram at NTA Network for updates. The news will be right back to stay on.
Good evening and welcome to Enugu Network Center. The simultaneous inauguration of 34 new customary court buildings across Enugu State is a deliberate plan of the state government to meet the justice needs of the rural population in the state. The state governor, Ebonyi, explained that these projects provide a platform for successive administrations in the state to build upon. Susan Eze has details.
It was a coordinated ceremony holding simultaneously in 34 locations across the state, including Amechu 1 in Enugu South and Ihaka in Ibweze South local government areas of the state. Each of the 34 new customary court buildings represent a transition from the old sluggish judicial process to a modern and more efficient judicial system that will expectedly enhance justice delivery at the customary level.
We are resolute at doing all that is necessary to ensure that the judiciary in Enugu State is not only suitably empowered to deliver its mandate as an independent arm of government, it also ranks among the very best in the country.
For the President, Enugu State Customary Court of Appeal, Justice Nnamani, and other stakeholders, this and other interventions in the state judiciary by the Ugwuanya administration has brought a new lease of life and relevance to the customary courts and the judiciary as a whole.
We will not stop until every customary court in the state will be having a building of this standard.
The 34 new customary court buildings are sited, 2 in each of the 17 local government areas. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
A reconstructed road project by the Federal Minister of Works at the Federal College of Dental Technology and Therapy, Enugu State, has been inaugurated. Chidi Okurafo reports that the 1 kilometer road is another federal government's internal roads intervention project in higher institutions across the country.
Of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, represented by the Federal Controller of Works, Enugu State, noted that the ministry has successfully intervened in 46 internal road networks in federal tertiary institutions and handed over 29 projects as at 2021. The ministry is currently attending to 30 roads in similar institutions, making a total of 76 roads. According to him, the gesture is an investment in education, adding that 45 people were employed in the process of the reconstruction and contributing to the job creation initiatives of President Buhari's led administration.
It's undebatable that quality of education will be impacted by the quality of infrastructure and the learning environment.
Rector Federal College of Dental Technology and Therapy, Enugu State, described the feat as a dream come true, considering the deplorable state of the road before the intervention by the Federal Minister of Works and Housing.
This is another clear expression of the preparedness of the ministry to continuously partner with us in our chosen task of imparting knowledge in a conducive environment.
The reconstruction and inauguration of the road projects, as well as other federal government intervention at the college, will go a long way towards improving education quality of the college. In Enugu, Chidi Okrafo, NTA News.
And that's a bit from here. Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Many thanks, Mina. The House of Representatives has requested for the establishment of military bases in parts of Kebbi State to curb incessant attacks by bandits, citing the latest security breach during which many local volunteers were killed. The issue raised by Representative Tanko Sununu as a matter of urgent public importance brought to the fore incidents in the last couple of months in parts of Kebbi where bandits attack hapless communities to kill, kidnap and rustle cattle. These attacks, the lawmakers said, have led to humanitarian crisis in the state, particularly in the Southern Senatorial District. The House urges deployment of more troops and equipment to eliminate the criminals and also provide relief materials to those affected by the attacks. President Muhammadu Buhari joins the academia, home and abroad, in celebrating with Professor Emeritus of Political Science at the University of Jos and President of Institute of Governance and Social Research, Professor Jonah Isawa Elaigu, on his 74th birthday, March 10, 2022. In a statement, President Buhari says Professor Elaigu has proved useful in understanding the dynamics of a fast-changing world and implications for political structures like federalism, people orientations, and governments. The President notes the consistent cerebral contributions of Professor Elaigu to national development over many years, particularly his interest in the strengthening of democratic institutions, education of young leaders, rebuilding of the educational system, and good governance centered on people and society. President Buhari prays for God's protection and blessings on Professor Elaigu and his family. Regional cooperation and unified legislations can make significant impact in addressing major security concerns among African nations. Chairman Benin Republic Constitutional Court, Sir Joseph Jogbenu, stated this during an audience with the leadership of the Network of African Parliamentarians for Defense and Security Committees in Cotonou. Abdullahi Mustafa has the report.
This is the highest court for constitutional matters in the Republic of Benin. The court makes final decisions on administrative, judicial, and electoral matters. Sir Joseph Jogbenu is the chairman of the court. He described as a well-thought idea the formation of a network of African parliamentarians for defense and security committees, stressing the need for stronger and closer working relationship among African legislators towards curbing the menace of terrorism, internal and transboundary crimes.
It primarily seeks to provide a platform for knowledge sharing among members of the committees and, of course, major stakeholders of regional and continental security challenges.
Shaban Sharada, who chairs the Nigeria's House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence, told the #1 judicial officer that the network is not only working with African parliamentarians but relevant institutions including the judiciary. Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army is upscaling its non-kinetic operations to stem security threats across the country. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that this came to the fore at the first quarter media chat for 2022 in Abuja, organized by the Department of Civil Military Affairs, Nigerian Army.
The quest to silence the guns, the military says, cannot be achieved on the battlefield alone.
Winning the hearts and minds of the people is key to our successes in every operation that we take part.
The need to dominate the information environment through the dissemination of compelling narratives that could engender public support and shatter the adversary's will is central to the success of any military operation.
To foster a constructive engagement between the military and the media, the Department of Civil Military Affairs organized this CIMIC media chat.
This forum no doubt presents an avenue for the department to engage with media practitioners for better understanding, with a view to charting a mutually benefiting relationship to improve media reportage and the non-kinetic lines of Nigerian Army operations.
Similarly, the Nigerian Army is upscaling the capacity of its Department of Military Secretary through a career management seminar in Abuja.
The event comes when our involvement in several operations all over the nation, particularly the Northeast, has brought to fore the need for efficient career planning to engender good leadership among officers.
The seminar will therefore appoint formations and co-headquarters, training schools, and individual officers with the requisite career planning and management knowledge required to keep the Nigerian Army on the path of accomplishing assigned missions within a joint environment in defense of Nigeria.
The Army urged officers and soldiers to remain non-partisan during and after the forthcoming 2023 elections. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The curtains have been drawn on the 2022 Chief of the Naval Staff retreat with a resolve to keep leading the national response on maritime security threats despite the economic slump being experienced in all sectors. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani has that.
Flag officers commanding and commanders of various formations have for 2 days deliberated on strategies aimed at improving Nigerian Navy operations in light of the economic crunch which has affected all sectors of the economy. Recall that in the fourth quarter of 2021, Nigeria's gross domestic product declined by 3.98%, and this has entailed many organizations going back to the drawing board to look at better ways of improving operations, and this includes the Nigerian Navy, which plays a critical role in protecting the nation's oil and gas assets.
The service will not relent. We will sustain the tempo of our maritime security operation efforts and extend same to our neighboring states to rid the entire Gulf of Guinea acts of piracy and other criminal activities.
The officers are expected to devise strategies which will ensure optimum output with the barest resources without compromising on standard. As the officers retreat to their various commands and formations, it is expected that they will move onwards together to ensure sustained maritime security operations. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Our next port of call on Nationwide is Sokoto, and Asmao is standing by. Hello, Asmao.
Hello, Lydia. Good evening and welcome to Sokoto on Nationwide. Medical experts say ensuring improved reproductive health care services among girls and women will assist in addressing the perpetuation of gender inequality and bias in Nigeria. This comes to the limelight at an event in commemoration of the International Women's Day, organized by the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, NAOA, 8th Division, Sokoto. Shehu Muhammad Dati completes the report.
The Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, NAOA, 8th Division, Sokoto, celebrated this year's International Women's Day with a clear call for gender equality. This year's celebration of the association features family planning and medical outreach services, as well as sensitization, meeting, and counseling. Chairperson of the association, Mrs. Gloria Bassi, represented, said educating and empowering women will end bias and promote gender equality as well as build sustainable growth pathways.
Kick-started this event on a high note by providing a medical outreach to our teeming women in the barracks.
Papers on diabetes in children and adolescents by Dr. Modupe Ugege, Women and Entrepreneurship by Khadija Ibrahim Bako, and the role of child spacing in promoting gender equality in Nigeria by Leonard Biashima were presented.
Basically, it's about saying, can we create more access to women when it comes to reproductive health? Can we create less biases? Can we create less stigma for women? Can women be able to make decisions about their reproductive health? And, of course, respecting the local laws or the traditions or cultures.
The event also featured an awareness walk by the officers' wives. The theme for this year's International Women's Day is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow with the hashtag Break the Bias. In Sokoto, Show Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
Zamfara State Universal Education Board is to embark on the construction of more primary and junior secondary schools across the state to decongest existing ones. Executive Chairman of the board, Abubakar Aliyu Maradun, stated this at the distribution of instructional materials to schools and learning centers under the Better Education Service Delivery for All BESDA. Jamilu Ibrahim has the report.
The massive distribution of instructional materials to primary and junior secondary schools by Zamfara State Universal Basic Education Board under UBEC, SUBEB and BESDA interventions is in furtherance of the commitment to address the age-long pathetic condition of the state education sector. The materials comprising core textbooks and other assorted library materials, science kits, mathematical sets, flash and counting cards, computers and e-learning tablets, among others, are also to be delivered to the learning centers under the BESDA program.
I want to appeal to educational managers and those entrusted with distribution and administration of these instruction materials, provided to utilize them for the purpose they were meant for.
If anything is found missing, and the person found will be used for experiment. I'll call it experiment because he will not go unpunished.
The Executive Chairman of Zamfara State Universal Basic Education Board, Abubakar Aliyu Maradun, said plans are on to construct new additional primary and junior secondary schools across the state with a view to decongesting the existing ones and to accommodate increased pupils enrollment.
So far, over 1,200 classrooms were constructed and about 600 renovated.
A total of 1,586 primary and 178 junior secondary schools across the 14 local government areas of the state are to benefit from the instructional materials. All the instructional materials unveiled at the event are for Gusau local government area alone. A similar consignment is set aside for each of the other 30 local government areas of the state. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on YouTube channel, NTA News Online. You can also visit our Twitter at NTA News Now, our Facebook page, NTA Network News, and Instagram, NTA Network for updates. And that's it from here. We'll take a short break, and when we return, the news will continue in Port Harcourt. Good afternoon.
And welcome to Port Harcourt Network Center. In a bid to support the fight against illegal oil bunkering and other oil-related crimes in the states, the Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Ahmed Abubakar Audi, has presented the River State Command with 3 new operational vehicles. Nkiru Onyejesi reports that the handover of the vehicles was performed by the Zonal Commander, Zone L, James Bassi.
River State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in recent times has recorded a significant success in the fight against illegal oil refinery, which has been a source of concern for residents over the years. While presenting the vehicles to the State Command, the Zonal Commander, Zone L, James Bassi, commended the State Command for their hard work in ensuring that the core mandate of the service is carried through the letter. He warned that those involved in illegal oil activities in the zone to turn a new leaf or face the full wrath of the law when caught.
This is just one of so many of such to come, I can assure you. All I'll say is to keep it up. Let me use this opportunity to warn miscreants in this zone. The Cross River, Rivers, and Akabon states to desist from carrying through with illegal bunkering. This zone will not tolerate any illegal bunkerer. This zone will not tolerate anyone dealing in illegal refining of crude. This zone will not tolerate any vandals. If you are one of these people, look for some other place to operate.
The River State Commandant, Abu Tambuwal, appreciated the Commander General for the kind gesture and assured that the command would not relent in ensuring that all illegal oil activities in the state become a thing of the past.
I call on the officers and men generally in the command to belt up. There's a common saying, to whom much is given, much is expected.
In Port Harcourt, Nkiru Onyejesi, NTA News.
In Port Harcourt. Women have been urged to support each other to create opportunity for a better society. These were the words of advice offered by resource persons as the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association celebrated this year's International Women's Day in Enugu. Doris Akumonye reports.
The days where the place of a woman is in the kitchen no longer exist, as more women are bracing up to take their place in the global society. As International Women's Day is celebrated world over, Naowa is not leaving anything to chance to strike a gender balance across board. Guest speaker at the occasion, Esther Sule-Lott, said this year's theme is out to awaken women to work together to achieve set goals. She kicked against gender abuse and maltreatment on women, which she noted has affected society negatively.
And the typical woman today. So we are encouraging our women today to go back home knowing that the bias has been broken. We need to make a bold step forward to believe in the gender equality.
Zono Chairperson Naowa, Domto Chukwu Awolu, reiterated the Nigerian Army's commitment towards the growth of women. She acknowledged the participation of women in every facet of human life, calling on the women to take advantage of the windows of opportunities to learn a skill and reduce the poverty rates in the land.
We're hoping they'll raise their children, their sons, differently. Because like I said, once a son is raised correctly, he won't abuse his wife, he will treat a woman right, and he will expect, he looks at every woman like his mom, and he'll treat you with respect.
The interactive session provided a better platform for the women to open up and chart the way forward. The theme for this year's celebration is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Break the bias. In Yenagoa, Doris Sakomoye, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Port Harcourt. Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja.
Thank you, Gabriel. Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk says Russia has agreed to a new 12-hour ceasefire to allow civilians to flee from 6 of the worst affected areas in Ukraine. The evacuation, which will be from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., will be carried out via 6 humanitarian corridors, which include the Enugu, Zaporozhye, Sumy Poltava, Mariupol Zaporozhye, Volnovakha Pokrovsk, and Izum Lozovaya, and also towards Kiev from 5 communities: Vozel, Bucha, Borodyanka, Irpen, and Gostomel. In the meantime, Russian Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova told newsmen on Wednesday that Kiev has confirmed that a meeting between Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba and his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov will take place on the sidelines of a diplomatic forum in Turkey's Antalya on Thursday. Zakharova emphasized that Russia was making preparations for the talks, but there was no need to rush things. Lavrov and Kuleba are expected to meet on the sidelines of a diplomatic forum in Antalya on March 10th, and the meeting will also involve Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu. Women's contribution to keeping Abuja clean could not be ignored as women are celebrated all over the world. Director, Turkish Community Cultural Center, Maritime, Abuja, re-echoed this as he hosted selected women under the Abuja Environmental Protection Board who sweep the streets of Maitama. Deborah Micah reports.
They just want to appreciate the women because of the way they work with them. That is why they want to appreciate the women.
I have to say thank you for the appreciation the one showed to us. Thank you so much.
30 years on the streets of Maitama, Abuja, Victoria Peter comes from Mpape to sweep the streets in Maitama, which has assisted in keeping the environment clean. Likewise, Rahila Samuel, who works under the Abuja Environmental Protection Board. Impressed by the women's dedication and hard work, the Turkish Community Cultural Center Maitama lauded the women's zeal, recognizing their contributions in their little corners, even as the world celebrates the 2022 International Women's Day.
There had to be a way to show our appreciation to this hardworking, dedicated woman who actually sacrifice a lot from their daily lives to clean and keep our streets clean, environment clean.
And with the women from Maitama district who are working every day with huge sacrifices.
Yunus Emirates Institute is a non-profit making Turkish community created in 2007 by the Turkish government to provide support for humanity. Deborah Gazaj Micah, NTA News.
As Nigeria sets to deploy fifth generation network 5G, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, is allaying flares associated with this new technology. In a meeting with a team from the Air Force Institute of Technology, he enumerates various efforts embarked upon by the ministry to create awareness for acceptance of 5G. Chimdima Ndubisi reports.
In no distant time, major cities like Abuja and Lagos will have access to fifth generation network 5G before it starts getting down to other cities. But there are still concerns in some quarters on the health implications and interference with certain technologies, especially in the aviation sector. These, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy has debunked once again, as he played host to delegates from the Air Force Institute of Technology who came to solicit digital support. He explained that government agencies as well as the private sector were fully engaged with messages translated in local languages, all in a bid to create awareness and acceptance on the new technology.
You usually use 4.2 to 4.7 gigahertz range. In Nigeria, we are using the base spectrum 3.5 gigahertz. It's not even up to 4. While your own begins from 4.2 to 4.7. So they are not even in the same range.
We're also here to let him know we still have challenges. The budget of the institute cannot cater for all the needs because of the rapid expansion. So we are looking for interventions.
The institute is confident that the minister will provide the needed digital support. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested a suspected notorious drug dealer at Nukai Market along Jalingo-Wukari Road in the Taraba state capital, Jalingo. Following arrest of the suspects, some suspected miscreants mobilized from the community and launched attack on the officers on patrol, which led to the injury of 7 and damage of a patrol vehicle. Chairman of NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Mara, however, warned that henceforth, any obstruction or attack on NDLEA operatives in line of duty by suspects or their supporters would receive commensurate response. Campaign by the National Orientation Agency is urging students to desist from any form of drug or substance abuse, as well as other social vices. Kenneth Nanim reports that the latest is the sensitization advocacy at the Government Secondary School Kubwa, Abuja, where proper check on peers group influence dominated discussion.
Or staff do not identify.
The National Orientation Agency is taking campaign to stem the tide of drug abuse, kidnapping, gender and sexual-based violence and other forms of social vices amongst the young people to schools across the nation. And the agency says the exercise has gained momentum.
We are asking them to be responsible for their lives. We are telling them that they should not allow negative peer pressure. Let them know the positive from the negative.
They should keep off bad friends. It's the #1 risk factor in drug use among students. #2, curiosity, ignorance. Yes, and then lack of awareness.
For both cervical cancer and breast cancer, early sexual intercourse is a risk factor. So at this age, we are trying to teach them, if you can abstain, perfect.
For these SS3 students, Fadila Jafar Mohamud and Chimere Silas Dike, the sensitization workshop is an eye-opener as they now have more insight to the dangers of substance abuse, peers group influence, reproductive health care, and personal hygiene.
We should encourage people to go for pap smears or tests so that they can know their cancer status. There's lecture on drug use and drug abuse. The lecturer said that apart from the calamity of World War II, there has not been any calamity that's affected the human race as much as drugs.
They should sensitize us more, just like the way they are doing here, and go around more schools.
Parents, teachers, and guardians are also being reminded of their responsibility to pay close attention to their children and words in order to identify deviant behaviors on time and deal with them to better the future of young people. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has ordered the immediate evacuation of all impounded, accidented, and unregistered exhibit vehicles from police stations nationwide. A statement by the force indicates that the IGP frowns at the practice of stockpiling vehicles recovered from crime scenes, which their ownership are being contested in police premises, with stringent requirements and cumbersome processes for the rightful owners to reclaim them. The IGP further stresses that such act will no longer be tolerated, as it is tantamount to gross abuse of administrative and judicial processes. Consequently, the IGP orders heads of police stations and formations to embark on due process to identify the rightful owners and release such vehicles in these categories on bond to their owners. The IGP equally urges all concerned to approach various police stations and formations across the nation for the recovery and claims of their vehicles with valid proof of ownership and proper means of identification. Next is sports with Kene Emagbodike.
Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sanda Dare, has restated the ministry's commitment to further discover and develop young and budding talent from the grassroots. Dare was represented by his media aide, Kola Daniel, at the 3rd Annual Paris Africana International School Annual Inter-House Competition in Abuja, where over 10 sporting events, including volleyball, football, and athletics, were competed for by the 4 houses in the school: red, blue, yellow, and green.
The power of sport can never be undermined, knowing fully well sport plays a significant role in the life of kids.
In football, the UEFA Champions League round of 16 second leg fixtures continue tonight as Manchester City welcomes Sporting Lisbon to the Etihad, while Real Madrid help to bounce back against visitors Paris Saint-Germain in Spain. Meanwhile, Robert Lewandowski scored a hat-trick inside the opening 23 minutes as Bayern Munich thrashed Red Bull Salzburg 7-1 to reach the quarterfinals on Tuesday. Liverpool started into the quarterfinals with a 2-1 aggregate win over Inter Milan after suffering a 1-0 loss to the Italian side. And finally, former world #1 Andy Murray says he would donate his prize money won from tennis tournaments in 2022 towards aid efforts for children affected by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The ATP, WTA, ITF, and the 4 Grand Slams have also pledged to make a joint donation of $700,000 in aid of humanitarian relief and to support Ukraine's Tennis Federation. That's Sports Update. I am Kenen Ima Abudike.
And that ends Nationwide. Before we go, a reminder that you can always join NTA in the campaign against rape and rapists. I am Lydia Ochi. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.